Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now we're in with another X-Men review. With review of X-Men Days of Future Past. So yeah, I've said before that the second movie is my favorite X-Men movie so far. But so far I would probably say that this one is probably the best X-Men movie so far. Yeah, I'm not saying that this one is my favorite, but yeah, I would probably say this one is the best. There's a difference between best and favorite, so yeah. Yeah, so second movie is my favorite one, but I'd say this is the best one. I mean, this has been the best received X-Men movie so far. Mm, yeah, people have really praised this one the most, and yeah, this is a really, really great movie. Yeah, Bryan Singer uh, returned as director here. This was the first X-Men movie he had directed since the second movie. And yeah, once again, he directed a really great X-Men film. Yeah, this is the kind of X-Men sequel that, well, not really that I should say I wanted, but something that I think should have happened. This was the one that I was kind of waiting for since the third movie. This one is set after the events of the third movie, so yeah, we get to see a lot more of the original cast return, and not just Hugh Jackman like in the Wolverine. I mean, we, yeah, Hugh Jackman, of course, is returned, and yeah, we see Halle Berry, Anna Paquin, Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, or Shawn Ashmore. We do see a lot of the original X-Men actors returning here, and of course, we also get the returning actors from First Class. We get Michael Fassbender back, James McAvoy's back, Jennifer Lawrence is back. So yeah, we get to see like the old and new actors all in the same movie here. And yeah, that was really good to see. And yeah, this was kind of like it was a kind of a different story from the other X-Men films. But yeah, it was still a really, really good story. And yeah, this movie pretty much is like in the end, it kind of just like rewrites history and changes the stuff that happens in the from the third film. And yeah, that's what happens here. I will talk about what is actually changed when I get to the end of this movie. Yeah, this is just a really, really great film, and just yeah, like I said, this one is probably the best X-Men movie so far. Yeah, the movie acts as a sequel to both the events of the third movie and First Class, as I've said. Yeah, the movie. Yeah, when it goes to the past to like follow the events of First Class, the movie is set about 11 years since the events of First Class. And yeah, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender both give great performances as Charles Xavier and Magneto, and yeah, of course Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen do also. For the like small time that they're in this movie, yeah, most of this movie is like really back in the past, but throughout the movie we do get like kind of sporadic appearances by like the original actors. So yeah, the original actors, they don't like get like the movie's not really like they're that in it like that much. Yeah, it's mostly with the younger actors back in the past, but yeah, we still do get to see the old actors and characters still in this movie, and yeah, I was glad that we finally got to see them back after, was it 8 years since X-Men 3? Yeah, and yeah, for the time that they're on, they still do pretty good. Yeah. In this movie, we also have Peter Dinklage as well, I'm not sure if I want to say villain, but kind of like as a, yeah, he's kind of like the one behind what happens in this movie, but yeah, not sure if I want to say villain, but yeah, he's kind of like behind the events that go wrong in this movie. Yeah, and the yeah, just yeah, the movie is really, really, really good to great. I would give this one 3.75 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, just a really, really, really good movie. So, yeah, let me just get right into it. So the movie opens up in the future where there are robots that are known as Sentinels. They're like attacking mutants and human allies. Yeah, and they're just yeah, they're unleashing attacks on mutants and trying to exterminate them. And eventually we see all the mutants like Kitty, Colossus, Iceman, Bishop, Warpath, Blink, and Sunspot along. And they meet with Wolverine, Storm, Professor Xavier, and Magneto, and like a remote Chinese hideout. And Professor Xavier actually explains like what the Sentinels were and what actually created them. And yeah, he says that uh, uh, they possess Mystique's transformation powers. And this technology was made after there was research performed on Mystique after she was captured, or during when she assassinated Dr. Bolivar Trask, I think I'm saying that right, who actually created the Sentinels. And Professor Xavier wants to go back to 1973 when it happened to, to make it stop so it'll change history and the Sentinels really didn't exist. And he'll, because Mystique never did assassinate Dr. Trask, but he's unable to go, and Kitty also wants to go, but she's only able to go back like a month at the most. So then Wolverine decides that he'll go back to 1973 to stop the assassination. And before he gets sent back, Professor Xavier and Magneto told Wolverine that he'll have to find the younger two of them because they would be able to help him, and he's gonna need their help. And then yeah, Kitty then brought Wolverine's consciousness to 1973. And yeah, when he first arrives, he's like confronted by a few you guys after he's caught in bed with one of his old girlfriends. Yeah. And then yeah, Wolverine then unleashed his bone claws and attacked all of those three guys. And it's shown that Mystique and a lot of her allies had actually been abandoned by Magneto, and now they're like on their own. And they ambush some members of the army. And then Mystique is obviously trying to go after Dr. Trask. And Wolverine eventually makes it to the X Mansion, where he then meets young Professor Xavier and Hank, aka Beast. And it's interesting how Hank actually becomes a beast kind of like a Hulk style. Like he needs to get angry and he transforms into Beast. And it's shown that Charles, or Professor Xavier, he's actually been like overusing a serum that is actually giving him the ability to walk, but it's also preventing him from using his telepathy powers. And Wolverine then explained why he's there and what his mission is. And at first, Xavier is like refusing to help Wolverine, and he actually remembered when he and Eric actually approached Wolverine back in the First Class movie, trying to get him to help, and he remembered what Wolverine told them, and yeah, he just told him the same thing. And, then after what, Professor Xavier like had a flashback of when he first met Mystique when they were kids. He then agreed to help Wolverine and to stop Mystique and like bring her back to him. And yeah, Wolverine learned from Professor Xavier that Magneto was actually being imprisoned like 100 stories below the Pentagon. And after he assassinated President Kennedy. And then, Wolverine decided that they were going to need more help, so they got the help from Peter Maximoff or Quicksilver, who has like the super speed power to help them rescue Magneto, and they eventually do. Who end up rescuing Magneto, from his prison in the Pentagon. And after they rescue him, then and the Professor Xavier, Magneto, Beast, and Wolverine then fly to Paris to try to intercept Mystique and turns out that she's actually posing as a Vietnamese general to infiltrate the Paris peace accords. And it's also shown that Trask was unable to actually sway the Congress to actually support him in his centennial program in Washington, D.C. And then Wolverine, Beast, Magneto, and Professor Xavier all then arrived in Paris, and they stopped Mystique just as she was about to kill Trask. And yeah, Magneto was going to kill Mystique to make sure her DNA couldn't be used for the Sentinels. But she wound up escaping, and yeah, then like Wolverine then started to like get some flashbacks about when he actually got his metal in operation in him again, and then he briefly had some memory loss, and he didn't remember anything about who Professor Xavier was and where he is and stuff. And it showed as like in the future, as like Kitty was trying to like keep Wolverine back in the past. It showed like he was like starting to freak out while he was still unconscious in the future, and then he accidentally then stabbed Kitty right in her side, and then Magneto, old Magneto, and like just was able to just keep Wolverine down and hold him like that to have him just like shackled down or just restrained. And then eventually Wolverine then did regain memory after Magneto and Mystique then did escape, and Trask was also saved, but then after the world was horrified by the mutants' existence, then President Nixon then approved of the Sentinel program, and then he arranged an unveiling ceremony for Trask. And it also showed Mystique's blood was recovered from the street, and Magneto. Before that, and then And like during the mansion, well, at the mansion, sorry. Then Professor Xavier was about to inject some more of the serum into him, but then he just decided to stop using it. And then he started to regain his telepathy, but of course it also made him lose his ability to walk. And he tried to use Cerebro to locate Mystique again, but it just wasn't working the way he wanted it to. And Wolverine convinced Xavier to actually just convince his younger self by speaking to his older self to still work on peace between the humans and mutants. And then, yeah, young Xavier then spoke to his old self, and then, yeah, he was then inspired to do that. And then he used the Cerebro to track Mystique, and turns out that she was actually in an airport heading to Washington, D.C., and he was using his telepathy on other people through him to, like, talk to her to convince her to stay with him, and yeah, she was refusing to do it. And then, and Professor Xavier, Wolverine, and Beast decide to just head down to Washington, D.C. to find her. And it also showed Magneto had then recovered his new telepathy blocking helmet. And then, yeah, he intercepted the Sentinel prototypes, and he laced their frames with steel, and then that gave him the ability to actually control them. And when Professor Xavier, Wolverine, and Beast arrived in Washington, D.C. and were searching for Mystique, during the unveiling ceremony for the Sentinel prototypes in front of the White House, it then showed Magneto then arriving, and he was actually lifted up like all the seating sections from a baseball stadium. And then it also showed he then commandeered all the Sentinels, and he forced them to attack the crowd. And then, yeah, it was the Robert F. Kennedy Memorial Stadium that he used. He lifted up. And then he just used it to barricade throughout the White House. And then, yeah, Nixon and Trask and all of his cabinet service officers, including Mystique, who was posing as one, were then taken to the safe room. And yeah, Wolverine and Beast then fought with Magneto, but then Magneto pitted a bunch of Sentinel, a Sentinel against them, and at the same time, in the future, it also showed there was an army of Sentinels then attacking the X-Men. And yeah, the X-Men did battle with the Sentinel army. And then, and back in the past, it also then Magneto then just eventually threw Wolverine back and right into the Potomac River. And yeah, he also ended up pulling the safe room from the White House. And he was going to kill Nixon and all members of his cabinet. But it then showed it was Mystique posing as Nixon, and then she shot Magneto right in the neck with a plastic gun and incapacitated him. And she was about to then go after Trax again, but then Professor Xavier then just convinced her to just spare Trask and allow. And yeah, then both her and Magneto then fled. And then after what Mystique did, it was then seen as a mutant was then saving the president, and then yeah, the Sentinel program was then just canceled. Well, and then yeah, Trask ended up being arrested for what he did. And then yeah, and in the future it just showed that Professor Xavier, Magneto, and Kitty were all saved as the Sentinels were about to reach them, and then yeah, it just faded away as if just it never happened. Then Wolverine eventually then woke up in the future, and then he saw basically just everybody that was killed and was all still alive. So yeah, it showed Rogue, Colossus, Kitty, Beast, Storm, and even Jean Grey and Scott Summers or Cyclops. They're all still alive, and yeah, so was Professor Xavier, and yeah, Wolverine was like shocked to see Jean and Cyclops still alive. Then yeah, he was then just explaining to Professor Xavier what he actually experienced, and yeah, Professor Xavier just welcomed him back and said they have a lot to catch up to. And then and back in the past, it showed like Wolverine being fished out of the river, and then it appeared it was Stryker who did it. And yeah, he was saying he was gonna take custody of Wolverine, and then showed it was actually Mystique impersonating him. And then yeah, the movie then cut to credits, and then afterwards, then like showed En-Sabah Nur, or actually using telekinesis on pyramids, just as four horsemen are watching from nearby, and yeah, and yeah, it would maybe that is gonna carry over to Apocalypse. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, but yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, like I said, 3.75 stars out of 4. Yeah, I would probably definitely say that this is probably the best X-Men movie so far. Or yeah, I mean, just a really, really, really good, great movie. Alright, so yeah, that's it for my review of X-Men Days of Future Past. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, and I am going to see Apocalypse tomorrow. And so yeah, after I go see it, I will make my final video to talk about how, to give my thoughts on Apocalypse to close out the month and to end these reviews. So yeah, stay tuned for my final X-Men video and my final video to close out this month. My thoughts on Apocalypse tomorrow. So yeah, alright, but anyway, yeah, that does it for my review of X-Men Days of Future Past. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.